Hey everyone, this is Matt Johnson with Vyral Marketing. We're excited to welcome you back. This is the latest episode of the Master Your Mindset Hangout with Matthew Fair, and we've got Matthew with us, and we'll turn it over to him in a second. Before we get to that, I wanted to point out that you guys can ask questions or put comments on right during the event. That's one of the reasons that we do these live. So there's a Q&A app on this live Hangout. You can click that app, and you can submit your questions right through there. Or you can actually just post them as a comment right on the Google Plus page, and I'll be keeping my eye on the page throughout the event. So with that, let's bring in Matthew. We're excited for our special guest, and let's talk a little bit about her and what we're going to cover today.
Great. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here live at the with our Google Hangout. We do it every third Wednesday of the month, and I just want you to know that mindset is the one change that changes everything, and it has really been changing Reba Haas's life. She goes by Reba. So Remax Metro Realty, Seattle, Washington. Reba, you've been in the business now for about 12 years. Is that correct?
Correct.
So last year, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said I started in mid-2003.
Mid-2003, at the time of the recording of this and this live interview, it is currently April of 2015. So last year you did 14, 15 deals, something like that.
Right. And
this year you've already got 12 closed and pending right now. You're on track to do 30 deals this year, and you told me in our pre-interview that 25 is the most deals that you've ever done, and you did it back in the heyday, back in 2005 and 2007. So something was happening with you. You were in this state where all of a sudden you said, I'm ready to do more, I'm ready to take on the next thing. You've been studying Top Agent Mindset now, the training program, since October of 2014, so that's 6 months. And what were some of the challenges that you were faced with that made you decide, maybe mindset is the solution? What were some of the challenges and problems you were trying to solve?
Well, some of the things I was trying to solve was getting back to a place of being efficient and in seeking volume again in my business. Because when I got into the industry in 2003, I had a goal of $500,000 in revenues a year, and got to half of that achievement. And of course, the recession being part of it, and then I had a falling out with a past partner in 2010, which had some definite impact on my business. And then I had a loss in my family 2 years ago that emotionally just kind of took me to a place where I pulled way back from what I knew I was capable of.
Could you, Reba, would you say that you were experiencing a little bit of a slump?
Oh yeah, definitely, because I was now performing at some of the lowest numbers I had done. I mean, my first year in the industry, I did 17 deals. So it really was me making personal choices to not work as hard. And I also was without an assistant for nearly 2 years. I made a choice to not have to deal with another personality in the business for a while. And last fall, I decided that I felt ready to take those things on again. But the mindset was important because I knew that I still had things holding me back.
Well, let's be honest. You already know how to do business. Yeah. You already know what to do to generate business. You already know that I need an assistant. I need to be focused on my deal generation. Mm-hmm. Couple of things we spoke about before was that you were procrastinating and over-analyzing everything and getting caught up in all the admin rather than doing the things that you knew were going to generate business. What was the effect of that? So when you first started thinking about doing mindset training, you were experiencing some effects like exhaustion and stress. Tell us about some of the things that had been affecting you because of your inaction.
Well, because I didn't have an assistant handling all the day-to-day little things, I was doing everything. And I'm still working on this because I'm growing my team right now. I've had a day off in 5 months. But even before that, I was working a lot of hours. And on top of it, part of the exhaustion is not only do I do this, but I also manage and run a band and perform. So I had a lot of things going on all the time. And as I told you, in January, it got so bad with stress. Now, my husband also got into home inspection this last year. So there was a change in our own household, too, for income. And I got so stressed out that I developed shingles in January, which are incredibly painful. When they say that they hurt, they're not joking. So I was trying to continue to perform and serve my customers while feeling horrible. And
and let me add this in, Reba. You also talked about that some of the things that were happening for you was that you were starting to feel like I hate losing, but I'm losing, and I know I can do better in this business. What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I stuck in all of this inaction?
That was a big mindset, yeah. Big.
And it was freaking you out.
Because when I got in the industry, I developed my team in a different format than some folks, and at the time I felt that was a better format. And in the last year, I have, well, not just in the last year, just based on experience of the last several years and the number of other agents I've gone through in my team, I finally had to recognize that my format wasn't performing the way that I thought it would. I ended up taking the brunt of most of the stress and not the people working with me. And no one, it kind of what you and I talked about, I got to that place where of just having to realize nobody else cares as much as I do. And they're not going to. And I had to figure out a different way to get them vested in the team and the mindset of the team and the concepts that we were trying to have out there. And I also needed to change how I wanted to, how I needed to develop that team. So I am going to I started doing a bunch of reading and webinars and everything else and listening to some of what you talk about. And so I am developing kind of what is a more typical type of team, but I think it's going to also integrate with what my past format was.
But let me ask you this question, okay? If you look back on the last couple of years, you see this exhaustion, this stress. You had had these tragedies that occur. Your business partner left. You were in this constant state of holding on to, my way is the best way, and not really being open to new ways of generating business.
Right.
What was the cause of all of this insanity?
Well, you put it nicely. Give me just a second on this one. My partner didn't leave. I had to kick him out.
Right.
It involved a lot of financial malfeasance on his part and stealing from the company. And so I had been working hard while he was embezzling from me. And that created huge trust issues. The having to come to grips with how my team was formulated really spoke to my growing up, because I have a mother who always has to be right. But unfortunately...
So she always has to be right. What was that habit pattern that you learned, Reba?
Well, I followed my mom's footsteps of, I have to be right. And a lot of times...
What did that give you?
Mindset training, that forecasting the negative, like me going, oh, I know that won't work. I'm smart enough. I know that that's not going to happen. And I had to use one of my own phrases, which is I had to learn to get out of my own way.
Yes, Matthew, how do you teach people that to avoid that specific mindset, the forecasting the negative? That's something that you deal with and run into a lot.
It's something that we deal with a lot, and it stems from the drunk monkey. And I'd love to get Reba's Reba's perspective on the drunk monkey, because I talk about it a lot, and I have my own ideas about how the drunk monkey operates and why it's so dedicated to forecasting the future, but specifically to forecasting the negative. Reba, can you give us a little bit of your perspective on the insanity of the drunk monkey, what it is to you, and its obsession with forecasting how things won't work rather than forecasting that they will work?
Well, I know for me, it kept me from trying different strategies that, frankly, now that I'm doing them, I'm finding they do function. So again, it goes back to I have to stop having my own attitude about things. I have to be open and experiment, like you always recommend. Run an experiment, see if it actually works. And if it doesn't work, fine, stop it. If it does work, great, embrace it and find better ways to have it benefit your business. So I tried, just in the past couple of months, I'll give some examples. I tried a Google ad type thing. You get a billion phone calls a month for these things. I finally, I'll just try one. Did it for a month. It didn't go anywhere, but that was fine because it was only $134 that I put at risk. Wasn't a big deal. At the end of it, I was like, okay, well, now I can say I've tried it. I know I didn't do it that long, but in the meantime, the other thing I did is I went to what I always call the dark side. I went to Zillow and got a zip code. And I now have a lending partner who is offsetting my cost. I do actually have some potential business coming from it. I only signed up in January, and there's a person I'm talking to for a $320,000 land deal right now.
Well, let's talk about this, because prior to you running these experiments, and for our viewer, running an experiment is what we do to counter the drunk monkey's insanity. So the drunk monkey, all of that talking in your head, is hallucinating that you're psychic. It hallucinates, I am the almighty, all-knowing Reba, and I can predict the future, and I know how things are going to turn out. And it's a bunch of hooey. You don't know how anything's going to turn out. And so what I ask you to do is to basically put the drunk monkey to the test. Don't believe anything. Don't believe that it will work. Don't believe that it won't work. Instead, find out rather than hallucinating. Yeah. Tell us this. You generated 24 referrals in 2014 total. And when we did our pre-interview, that was literally about a month ago, at the 2-month mark, you had generated 18 referrals by that time. And you're literally closing in 2 months on your 1-year referral mark from last year. I suspect you've generated even more based on the interactions and exchanges we've been having on Facebook. But tell me about this. What was the mindset technique that you used to get yourself to open up to increasing your referral base? Tell me about some of that.
Well, I used the tools that I've been working on from you, went back to other things that I used to always do. One of them, which is, unless you ask, the answer's no. I've had a tremendous referral network over the years. That's part of why my group is called Team Reba, because it's not just about me and the people who work in my team, but all the people who support it around us. And I made a point of starting to go out and very specifically require that they reciprocate. And that has really opened up some major doors.
And let's be honest, Reba, that took some courage to do that.
Yeah, I always kind of assume, because I have a give before you get philosophy, and I've always said that, and I figure, okay, I'm giving business to people, and then I realize, no, a lot of these people are just receiving, never even crossing their mind to reciprocate. And so I began going out and specifically asking for it. Example would be, I joined a group called the Sound Resource Network back in roughly August of last year, and I just had a tremendous response. Just in the last month or so, I started very specifically saying, you need to give me business because I'm giving you business. And there was almost a little kerfuffle between some of the guys because I'm about to do a client event in May that will include an insurance person, financial services, estate planner, that type of thing. And one of the guys in the group said, well, why aren't you including this other financial services guy? And I said, because he never asks for my business. This other guy does.
But let me ask you this, okay? So our viewer is sitting there saying, you know, maybe I should do something like this. Maybe I should be getting more aggressive. And you knew that you should be more aggressive. You knew that the way you could get business is to be very proactive about going after your referral partners and your past clients and all of that. But you were hesitating in the past.
Right. But
and there was some mindset that you had in the past that was stopping you, and then there was a new mindset you developed now that is empowering you. Can you tell us about what the mindset was in the past that had you procrastinate and not doing it, and then what is the new mindset that has you doing it now?
Well, I guess the mindset in the past was, you know, maybe I wasn't going to get what I asked for. And my mindset now is I'm going to ask for it, and then I just have to make assessments of whether or not I'm getting what I'm needing out of these things. And that was kind of the end of that story. Was when I began setting up this event, I had the person ask me the question about the financial planner, but then I had other conversations in the group, and I specifically, with a moving guy in that same group, I told him the same thing about he doesn't ask for my business. I said, I have sent him referrals, and he doesn't give anything back. That moving connection has been helping me now within that group. I now have what's going to be about a $750,000 referral from that financial planner. On top of it, the moving guy, you're going to love this, Matthew. This just happened this week. I got connected with an ancillary firm to that moving company. I am now having a meeting next week with the relocation department that they handle anywhere from 300 to 500 moves a year for various companies around here. And I'm going to be most likely put into their pool of trusted agents, which they keep a very small pool of for the buy, sell, you know, inbound, outbound.
Let's talk about this now. Let's talk about, because what I'm just going to put myself in the shoes of our viewer right now. So if I'm in the shoes of our viewer right now, I'm saying things like, well, that could never happen to me, or, you know, I don't have anybody like that. I could never ask my you know, the guy who I refer moves to. I could never ask the financial planner. You know, that makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm uneasy. I'm just putting myself in their shoes, and all of this is the drunk monkey.
Oh,
all of it, and all of it is stuff that you've experienced in the past too. You've experienced that you know, there's that little pit you get in your stomach before you you make the specific request. You've then done the work to get through it, and you've done things like examining the drunk monkey's bizarre like addiction to forecasting a negative result,
right,
and having you feel the negative before you've even done anything. You have worked through that process and used experiments to get yourself into a place where you can actually make the requests. And I think what we're starting to see is that it's creating a momentum for you.
Oh, absolutely.
You're experiencing momentum now.
Huge momentum. Yeah. For me, yeah, do I get that little flutter in my stomach every time I have to put that ask out there? Yeah, of course I do. But right now I'm feeling very confident about how things will turn out. I know they're not going to always be a yes, but that's okay. I used to hate hearing people say, look, it's a numbers game. I tend to not just want to churn through people. I tend to like to really qualify and what have you, but I do believe that I'm putting myself in situations where I'm set up for a lot more success. Partly by not forecasting the negative, partly by not judging someone as they kind of come into my my life and my sphere. If I had done that with a phone call 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have another new client I have that you haven't heard about that is a drone retailer. And I'm about to get a lease signed for them here in our local area. This guy called me out of the blue, found me online on a Yelp review, called me up, loves me now, wants me to get them referrals in all the other 12 markets they're expanding to. My commission out of this commercial lease is about $9,000. And it was because I was open to the phone call, because he's an intense guy on the phone. And when he first called me up and was demanding my time on a Tuesday and that kind of thing when I was already booked, I thought, God, I don't want to deal with this guy. I don't want to deal with this guy. And I almost just walked away from it. But I kind of calmed myself and said, keep an open mind. Just listen to what he has to say. Start doing your qualifying.
Let's stop on that, Reba, because listen, it's not your job to teach anybody the techniques. That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to make sure that people understand what you're describing is the result of a set of techniques that we worked on together in the Mindset Mastery videos. And I want to kind of give people, as part of the promise of watching these things, is that people get techniques. How do you actually do that?
Oh, and it works.
And so I want to just pull up right now on my own notes here. So hold on, I'm going to pull up on my own notes something that you're talking about from the mindset methodology. So, and really the thing that we're talking about here is how you accept people and not go into your into all of your insanity. So I'm just going to pull it up right now and just give people very quickly from the mindset methodology what is the actual technique that you're using here. So hold on, I'm scrolling down to the bottom of the mindset methodology, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Fear of making mistakes, no. Stuck in your logic, no. Fear of failure, no. Releasing negativity with people. Aha.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what it is. So one of the things that you just described the result of is this mindset.
Yes.
And the mindset that we worked to develop together was quit holding people accountable to agreements that they never agreed to.
Right.
That nobody signed up for your way of living. Everybody was raised by different people. Your way is no more right than anyone else's. No one named you, Reba, the ruler of the universe. Here's how people are supposed to interact with me.
Right.
And because you have been installing this mindset into your framework, the way that you relate to people, you had this guy who called you up who, right? You were like,
pushy as hell.
Pushy as hell. Didn't really work with your more your style, but you were able to sort of adjust yourself to be able to deal with this person. You got a $9,000 commission coming, plus all of these $9,000 your percentage referrals that will occur in the coming months. And who knows, right? Let's be honest. The guy's an entrepreneur, so he's a sales guy. He's out there hustling. The likelihood of you getting more business from someone who is succeeding is very high, because people who are successful like other people who are successful, and they like to share their good fortune. So that is awesome. Want to say something else about that?
Well, I'm sorry, say that again?
I just wanted to know if you wanted to sort of cap it off, or should I ask the next question?
No, I've connected him with a lot of my referral networks, and right now, like you're saying, he's really bound to me. He doesn't want to work with anyone else, and he actually asked if I could work in all the other markets that they're expanding to. But obviously I'm not licensed there, but I will be making those relationships, and we're actually going to be packaging everything I've had to put together for him for this deal, so that it's a very simple process everywhere else that they go to. And what's also nice is because they're bringing management into different locations, we might end up getting other residential business out of it as well. So I'm really trying to keep my options open about where this could go with him.
I mean, if we're being honest,
I'm curious, Rebecca, have you ever done like mindset training or any coaching prior to Matthew's material?
No, I've done a lot of negotiation training because I came from a corporate sales background. I did 13 years of software licensing and manufacturing component sales. So I did a lot of like Miller Hyman and other types of training, but none of them really pushed past this, how do you get past your own inner demons? Those were all just techniques of how do you get the price that you're looking for, the deal that you're looking for. And I'm always great at that part and advocating for people. But what it came down for me is I needed to be able to advocate for myself, and I wasn't doing that. I was really good at doing it for everyone else, but not always as good for me.
Yeah, what is that, Matthew? That it can kind of mask itself, I think, as humility. But what is that when you get down to the root of it?
Well, humility seems like it's a good idea, but I think most of the time we don't really understand what being humble even means. If you look at the definition of humble, the definition of humble is to put yourself lower, to make yourself less important than other people. And that's not good for you or good for them. But the drunk monkey in your head adopts it and makes it like revered, like, oh, I'm being humble and blah, blah, blah. But really, we don't want to be humble. Actually, what we want to practice doing is being open, appreciative, grateful. We also want to know our value. And the drunk monkey is actually not designed to know your value and will not convince you that you have value, because the drunk monkey's job is to assume that you're too stupid to know what's good for you. So it will push you towards what it believes is going to be positive for you and push you away from what it thinks will be negative for you. The only problem is that if you don't really take the time to understand what the drunk monkey is, you'll never actually connect the dots and realize that the talking in your head, the source of it, is about a 3-year-old perspective. Mm-hmm. So if you look at a 3-year-old and the way that the 3-year-old behaves, most of the actions of the drunk monkey are just sophisticated, well wrapped up 3-year-old mindsets. And they're very survival oriented, and they're going to drive you away from doing the things that you want to do. So let me ask you a question, okay? I want to talk about the marketing experiments that you've been running here, Rebecca, because I want our viewer to be able to run experiments on their own and to be able to put the drunk monkey to the test. So you've talked about running a few experiments. Start by giving us your perspective on what it means to run an experiment. What's the context or the mental framework that you've programmed yourself with so that you can now actually run the experiments and get the momentum you've been getting?
Well, a lot of it really is around getting past forecasting the negative. I'm trying to be open to what will come of these different experiments that we're doing, and not wanting to put a judgment on it too soon. I said for the Google ad thing, I did that only within a month, but that was purposeful. I figured I'll just at least throw it out there just to see. But the other things that I think are more useful to me, that I decided, okay, Zillow. When I said I went to the dark side, Seattle is the home base of Zillow. I've watched that company grow up. I know the CEO of the company, and we're friendly. And I had very strong opinions about Zillow. I used to really respect the company, and then I kind of lost some respect for it. I'm kind of still figuring it out what I think overall, but I did decide to open up and say, I'm just going to at least try this. Plus, it fit into a marketing goal of mine, which, because I live in Renton, I'm on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce here. My goal locally is to become the best known realtor in Renton. I don't only do business here, but it is my goal to become the best known realtor. And so the zip code I was able to acquire is in my backyard. It's right here. And I thought, okay, it fits within the format of what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm going to see whether or not it will, get there. I'm going to put a long-term start. I actually bought a 1-year contract, but I reached out to, to mitigate my costs. I got a long-time lending contact of mine who is now my partner on there. I have sat down with my virtual assistant because I have now gotten a virtual assistant working with me. I'm seeking another one.
Wait, let's talk about this, okay? For a long time, you were sitting on your hands with this,
Yeah,
with hiring an assistant, and
yeah,
there was a mindset that was stopping you, and then there was a mindset that you developed that allowed you to finally get off your hands, get into action, and get this whole thing rolling. I mean, that's really the story here, Rebecca. You've gone from kind of depressed and in a little bit of a slump and down on yourself and the business and your world to vibrant and moving forward and energized. What was that mindset that was stopping you from getting the assistant? And then what switched? What technique or thought process did you use to get yourself to actually pull the trigger and hire the assistant?
I'm always horrible at using your terminology, so I don't.
You don't need to use my terminology at all. I'll fill in the blanks for people, okay?
For me, it was a lot of trust issues, and again, needing to get out of my own way with some of it because I'd had poor experiences. I've had some really good experiences with assistants, and then I've had some really crappy ones. And my last one was really crappy, and that person dragged me down, and I couldn't emotionally even handle it anymore. And I thought, God, I just don't want to have to deal with someone else's problems.
So let's stop, and we'll tell our viewer what that is in relationship to the mindset methodology.
Great.
So you were basically avoiding making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Which is something that the drunk monkey does. It avoids making the same mistake twice, but you began to pull that apart, and you started to see, well, wait a second. How could it possibly be the same mistake twice? I'm in a new place. This is going to be a brand new person. I'm going into it with a lot more intelligence, having screwed this one up and really suffered. I know so much more. You were able to unravel the insanity of the drunk monkey.
Yeah.
And what was the result of that?
It was wonderful because I went back and I looked at what was the difference between my positive and negative experiences, and it was mostly the hiring process. Every time I've had a bad assistant experience, it's because I was asked to help somebody. And frankly, what I found out is all the people you get asked to help, unless they really want the help, you can't do anything for them. You can't drag them kicking and screaming into your reality of positive. It's just not possible. And so I really had to go back and think about, well, how did I do those hiring processes before where I had a positive experience? And it was because it was completely outside of the need to help somebody. My husband likes to say that I like to save people because I do believe in the inherent good of most people. But there are times that if the person is just not willing to step up and save themselves, you really can't do it for them. And so
that's an evolution. I'd like to insert something here. That's an evolution that you're in. Aren't you also utilizing some of the techniques that you learned from mindset mastery in recognizing people are on their own path? The way that they're doing it is the right way for them. You don't need to change them. Nobody needs to adjust themselves to fit your reality. If you don't like the way that somebody is behaving, you can either not interact with them anymore, or you can adjust the way that you're relating to it, right? You're taking these, and they seem to be applying in a whole wide variety of different places for you.
Oh, yeah. Well, my current assistant knows that she's on a 90-day test. So we're doing a trial to make sure that it's a good fit. And if it's not, in fact, even within this 90 days, I'm adjusting what her role will be with me right now because I'm realizing certain tasks are just too beyond her. So Friday I have a meeting with somebody for the role that I need that is to help with contracts. and the virtual assistant will just remain only with customer communication, marketing, prospecting, and we have had meetings where we're setting her up for success on putting processes in place for her to do these things, because I'm realizing she needs to be on a schedule, because if she's not on
let's put it into terms that our viewer can start to think about for their own success. Really, what I'm hearing is two things. I'm hearing that, one, you took your fear of making the same mistake twice, and you unraveled it for yourself so that you could understand how to do it positively the next time. And someone can apply that anywhere in their business. The second thing that I noted here is that you ran an experiment with your assistant. You basically said, okay, we're doing a 90-day experiment. And if these results occur, the experiment succeeded. And if these results occur, then the experiment was a failure. And if it succeeds, we move forward. And if it fails, we either reconsider or we cancel our agreement. Let me ask you one more question before we wrap this up with some of your thoughts here. You have been in a place where you were a little bit stuck. You were feeling, you weren't feeling inspired about the business. And now, all of a sudden, you're experiencing this audacious energy. And you've made the decision. You've declared, I'm going to triple my business by 2016. Tell me about the how you developed, or how did that courage all of a sudden come about when, if you're being honest, you haven't been setting any goals at all for years.
I realized I had stopped, and I kind of just, being in this training helped me take stock again of what was important to me and what I knew I could accomplish. Because you and I talked about this before, I'm extremely competitive. I was a state level swimmer in school. I played all the sports. I was in debate. I was in choir. I was in all these different things where I was always successful. My business, my career has always been on an upward track. And I had this little down period, and something about listening to some of the programs that you've had. I mean, I was driving from Seattle to Kansas to my rental properties to close out my apartment there, and I just got hugely inspired by what you were talking about, and remembering I am successful, and I need to be acting like I'm successful, and I need to be back to what I know I do well and take it to the next level, and stop sitting around in my little pity party and apply it. And that included needing to look closely at my relationship with my other real estate partner, who, I've come to terms with the fact that I probably have to let her go, because we did have very clear conversations in the last 2 weeks, just so you know. And she said in no uncertain terms she is not interested in taking on any new business. And I'm literally getting 1 to 10 referrals a day right now. So at my sales meeting yesterday with Remax, I talked to 2 other agents and said, if you're open to the idea of a team, but you got to join the team, you got to be in the team, you got to do the team philosophy, then I am willing to look at other partners to help blow this out.
Can we just take a moment and celebrate here for a second? I mean, what you just said, I don't want people to miss this. Last year you got 24 total referrals. Right now you're getting between 1 and 10 referrals a day. This is a profound, humongous change in the landscape of your business. You've gone from sitting on your hands, pity party, my team concept should be working, and I'm going to prove everybody wrong, and of course you were failing the entire way through. Bad relationships with a business partner, bad relationships with assistants and buyer's agents and things like this, to now literally this new you is emerging, this new version of you who is going for it, running experiments, taking action, getting people on the team, being clear about what you want, asking for what you want, and the result is stuff is coming your way
Oh yeah.
nonstop. I wanna cap off my questions with this final one, which is, I want you to just tell our viewer right now, what is the mindset trick that you appreciate and use most often to keep yourself moving forward? What's that perspective or that idea that keeps you moving forward?
Probably the biggest one for me is not, I want to say not forecasting the negative. Just because it's too easy to look at a situation, come up with what you think is going to happen, and sometimes you're pleasantly surprised, or maybe you have to consider things a different way so that you negotiate that situation to a better ending than what you think it's going to be. So I'm trying to be much more open about some of those things, and a big part of it means I have to, frankly, shut up and listen again, and see where I can make that go. Mostly in the direction that I want, which is positive, and it's been happening. I mean, you have to stop and really take a moment sometimes before you open your mouth, because sometimes that forecasting the negative is because you're too busy shooting your mouth off and you create the problem.
And the mind is going, right? Here's the drunk monkey. Well, that's going to happen, and they're going to do this, and and you're going to fail there, and you shouldn't ask that, and if you do, you're going to be right. And so you got to be able to learn how to catch it and ignore it.
Yeah, some of the best results have come from me asking an open-ended question and then just shutting up. I usually joke when I'm in a negotiation with another agent that I count on them doing what I call the show up and throw up, where they tell me too much information. And I've realized that for myself, I need to sometimes take a moment before responding, really think, and maybe ask a couple more questions before making a final decision of a direction. And that's actually been making a big difference for me, because that made the difference in the drone phone call. I could have told them, no, I'm sorry, I'm not available, thank you very much, click, get off the phone.
Right.
It could be a difference of whether or not that financial planner was willing to send me referrals, and now I've got a great first referral from him. And he even said in an email to me, he said, this is yours to lose. He said, I said, told them all about you, it's yours to lose. So, it's
well, let me say positive. This. What I'm hearing is you've become more bold. You're experiencing more courage. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. I mean, Matt, if I don't know if you are hearing it, but she just sounds lit up, energized about her life and her business.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like it. Yeah, I mean, Rebecca, just to step into the present a little bit. I mean, what's it feel like? What's it like to you? Just the experience of being on pace to doubling your business this year.
Oh, I'm more than excited. In fact, doubling my business is the minimum of what I'm going to do this year, from what I can see. I might actually hit my number by the end of the year if things keep going at this pace, and I would, of course, be thrilled. I will say, Matthew, one of the things for me about doing the mindset training, I mentioned that I did a lot of things growing up, and I even played volleyball up until a few years ago. I coached a women's league, on a women's league, and ran my own team. And my husband and I have been talking about this a lot for his business and also our band. And getting into this coaching just reminded us, yeah, when I was a state level swimmer, did I do that all by myself? No, I was on a team where I had all these other supporters, and I had a coach who was helping me get to my end game and always helping me achieve my personal best. I used to do triathlon. The goal every race was to achieve a personal best. And that fire is lit back up in me right now. And I have a goal of retiring in somewhere like Panama. And so I have a major drive to get to my end goal. And so that's I'm not doing it short term. I'm looking at the long term, and I'm going to hit it.
Wow.
I'm going to hit it.
Wow, wow, wow. Well, I could not be more proud of you as a student, and I'm thrilled that we get to interact all the time on Facebook, and
Yeah.
that we got to do this Google Hangout is just fantastic. And listen, if you are watching if you're watching this Hangout right now and you want to get started with the process, go to topagentmindset.com. And we've got many different ways that you can engage this kind of the mindset shift that will get you back to productivity again. The one that Rebecca did was the 4-day video series, the shortcut to making $200,000 a year in real estate. And then from there, she decided to get more involved and be a part of the Top Agent Mindset training program, and then she just is engaging what we're doing here over these last 6 months, and it's making a big difference, and it'll make a big difference for you too. You just got to get yourself engaged to start, and I got plenty of ways for you to do that are complementary and my gift. Rebecca, where can people send referrals your way? What are the areas that you work if other agents are thinking, I've got someone that I want to send over to Rebecca?
Well, my broker's office has locations in Seattle and Bellevue, but what I tell people is I do South Snohomish County to North Pierce and Olive King in between. So King County is where Bellevue, Seattle, Redmond, a lot of my clients are Amazon, Microsoft, Expedia. I work with a lot of tech folks, but not just tech. I've got medical and anyone and everybody, but we cover a very broad territory, and my team is growing, so we can certainly handle the volume.
That's awesome, and they can go to teamreba.com and connect with you there. That's fantastic.
Yep. Reba at teamreba.com is my email.
That's great. Matt, why don't you bring us home, buddy?
Thanks so much, guys. Just appreciate you for being here. We didn't have necessarily any questions come through on Google+. Guys, just a reminder, when we do these things live, just type in your questions to the Q&A app, or you can post them right on the Google+ page. We'll be happy to answer them right on the air here. We'd love to get more interaction and questions going while we're on the events live. So keep that in mind for next time. But looking forward to the next one. These are a lot of fun. They're super, super informative. And so we'll be sending out some more information on who the next guest and the next topic is in an email. And this recording will be available on YouTube, so you can keep on watching for years to come. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for having me.